How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the next episode of the best podcast on turf. I'm Matt, joined by my brother. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here. Lots to talk about. Let's jump into it.
Yeah, no, let's just jump right into it.
Well, we know what the first
Yeah,
topic is.
I know.
We've all been
I was
sitting.
just curious if you where you were gonna put it. I thought it was gonna be first.
We've all watched him walk on the beach. We've all watched
Well,
him.
I don't know if Aaron Rodgers doesn't know the Steelers didn't sign Alan Lazard yet. Like, I think he thinks they signed Alan Lazard, so he went over there, but obviously they didn't yet, so I think there's going to be some problems.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is the de facto GM now. No, just kidding. That's actually a great place to start. But Steelers signed Aaron Rodgers. This was inevitable. We were all just kind of waiting for it to happen. The conspiracy theory is Aaron Rodgers didn't want to sign with the Steelers until the schedule came out because Aaron Rodgers didn't want a bunch of primetime games. And I love that theory. It's probably true. Aaron Rodgers is a man who likes his schedule, likes his 1 o'clock games, doesn't want to be in the spotlight for a football game. And I think he didn't want a crazy schedule with the Steelers, so he just waited to sign. And there was obviously a handshake deal. You could see the way the Steelers operated throughout the offseason, including the draft. No quarterbacks except one guy in the 6th round. So now the question is, Aaron Rodgers is a Steeler. Couple questions to you, Matt. Does he become the de facto GM? Does this work in the sense of, do they win a playoff game? I think that's the bar of success they need to hit.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
So I think the Jets are just so horribly run. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to have the opportunity to become the GM. I think the Steelers are a well-oiled machine. I think they're going to keep him in line better than a lot of other owners and maybe franchises and coaches can do. Mike Tomlin is a no-nonsense kind of head coach, and you see that on the sideline every game. So that's something I think that will fit very well with Rodgers personally. About them winning a playoff game? No. No, I don't think it's likely they win a playoff game personally. I mean, they drafted a rookie running back who could be really good. Other than that, they have Jalen Warren. I feel like Aaron Rodgers needs a good run game at this point in his career. DK can't hold all the weight. I think they drafted a wide receiver, and then they have Austin, whatever, who they drafted last year in the 2nd round, who was decent. This defense is very good, and Aaron Rodgers is better than Mason Rudolph and Will Howard right now, so it was a good signing at the end of the day for the Steelers, but where does it get them? Probably the same exact place they've been, so it's almost like nothing happened in a weird way. But also Aaron Rodgers went to the Steelers, so something big happened. It's very interesting and kind of conflicting. But I don't think they win a playoff game. I think Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Mason Rudolph, so I think it's a good idea at the end of the day. But yeah, I don't think this gets him anywhere, and I think they'll keep him in line.
I agree with everything you said. I think what this does for the Steelers is it makes the storylines more fun. I mean, week 1 now is Steelers Jets.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Aaron Rodgers gets to play. Literally, Justin Fields gets to play his old team, and Aaron Rodgers gets to play his old team. That's pretty cool. Aaron Rodgers gets to play the Packers, which he didn't get to do on his 2 years at the Jets. So makes the NFL season more fun for even fans of the Giants and the Patriots. We get to enjoy that. But then also, he's not going to become the GM. Mike Tomlin is one of the best head coaches in the NFL. This guy takes a scrappy group of guys every year to the playoffs. Do they do anything with it? No, but he gets to the playoffs every year. And by the way, one of the hardest divisions. You're playing against Joe Burrow and the Bengals and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens twice a year. That's 4 hard games.
Oh, the Bungles.
Yeah, we'll talk about them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if they win a playoff game, but I think the opportunity now is really there to win a playoff game. They can capitalize on this. They have talent. They need to get TJ Watt signed. Like the fact that he's holding out, that's where it's just like they need to get that whole team in the room or in the building together and need to make sure everyone's happy.
Yeah, if they don't sign TJ Watt, this team's going to be even worse than we think they are because that defense.
And clearly they are.
Yeah, because they are. That's exactly why no one's really talked about it like the Trey Hendrickson situation because we all know he's going to get signed eventually. It's just all depends on what they agree to. I have a question, and I think this is a fairly easy question, but is Rodgers the best quarterback they've had since Big Ben?
Probably, but
It's all about how you feel about Russ nowadays. You know what I mean?
It's about how you feel about Justin Fields. That's who it's about. And
Fields is so unproven. Like, I like Fields too. I would have kept Fields if I was the Steelers, but he's so unproven. It's just the potential with Fields. I still have yet to see Fields blow my socks off.
Yeah,
he really hasn't.
Yeah, I think Rodgers is probably the best quarterback they've had, and I think a lot of Steelers fans are upset about everything. But Rodgers throws a couple quick passes to DK, and they get the ball in his hands, and I think fans will warm up to him. And they also have some winnable games. I don't mean to crap on the Patriots, but it's a winnable game for both teams, in my opinion.
Patriots have a lot of those games.
Yeah, but then I mean, starting off against the Jets, Aaron Glenn, new head coach, new system, new quarterback, like that's going to be tough. And so for the Jets, so the Steelers have some winnable games, so they can get some momentum, which is the better way to start a season, in my opinion. So
yeah, no, it is. I think the contract was 10 M's, like you said. I was right around 10 M's. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it's just they were going to go into the year with Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. Genuinely, maybe that was a good idea. I know NFL team is obviously trying to tank. Maybe some of them are. I have no idea, but it seems like from the outside looking in, no NFL team tries to tank. They just have rough seasons. If the Steelers did try to tank, though, it might really help them for a quarterback class that's coming that people are talking kind of highly about, which we still have to wait and see, of course. But yeah, I think overall good move, but it really doesn't get him anywhere.
It's exciting, but yes, I agree. The Steelers win their way out of generational quarterback talent every year. So
exactly,
that'll be the story. But I think Rodgers. I've watched a couple of his press conferences, and he has a good attitude right now. I think he's been a little humbled by the Jets, realizing even the almighty two-time MVP, back-to-back MVP, and 4 times total MVP can't fix the New York Jets.
Never.
So. So I think he's a little humbled. And I think the Steelers, they have a real deep-seated culture there, and I think Rodgers has to prove himself a little bit. He's not coming in as the Messiah. You have Terry Bradshaw telling him to go eat grass in L.A. and stay the heck out of it.
That was so funny. I couldn't believe. I was like, wait, is this AI or something? Is this fake? I was like, what is real? This? Yeah, it was real. I can't believe that.
So we'll see what happens. But I'm honestly, I would love to see the Steelers be really good. It makes that division more fun. And all the AFC North games this year are going to be a blast. They're all going to be good games. So you get to watch Joe Flacco versus Aaron Rodgers at some point. If Browns Steelers, that's crazy. So things like that, it's just funny. It feels like a Madden season we've simmed 10 years.
Yeah.
from 2015. Exactly. 10 years, and it's now this. So
Steelers, Browns, Rodgers versus Flacco. That is wild to think about nowadays.
But let's stay in the NFC North, and let's talk about the Bengals, because the Bengals started off the offseason with Joe Burrow coming out, and he says, hey, somehow the Eagles and Howie Roseman, the genius himself, the genie of NFL contracts, and the mastermind of one of the best all-around rosters we've ever seen in NFL history. As a Giants fan, I swear, a little piece of my soul, my hair's falling out. I said that before the podcast. It kills me, but it's true. Joe Burrow comes out and he says, hey, how can the Eagles do this and we can't? And the difference is, Joe, the Bengals have the worst ownership in the NFL. It's not even close. At least Jerry on the Cowboys is like, hey, I'm trying to win, and then actively doing nothing to it. The Brown family, they don't care. And they never come out and say they do care. But Joe Burrow puts pressure and says, hey, I want to get my guys signed. So what do? They sign T. Higgins and Jamar Chase to pretty good contracts. They're actually not amazing if you dig into the numbers in the sense of guarantees. But now Trey Hendrickson, one of the best sack rackers in the past 5 years, isn't showing up. And then to top it off, one of the easiest things for NFL teams to do is to sign your rookies, because the new rookie pay scale makes it very simple. But who's the one team that would try to put very strange verbiage to make sure they don't guarantee all their money to their first-round pick? The Bungles.
The only.
So I forget I forget the name of their first-round pick.
Shamar Stewart.
For Shamar Stewart, super talented guy, but very raw. Only 1 sack last year in the NFL, but has all the skills.
In college, just for
in college, excuse me, not the NFL. Won't sign his contract because the Bengals are trying to change the verbiage where his contract is not fully guaranteed and can be voided. And good for Stewart, he's like, no, and he's actually left the facility and is like, I'm done.
Yeah, no, it's truthfully, you look at the Trey Hendrickson situation. It makes more sense. If I were the Bengals, obviously you want to sign Trey Hendrickson, but at the end of the day, sacks aren't everything, and he's getting older. How much can he keep up all of that everything he does each year, year in and year out, game after game. He really can't. I get not wanting to sign Trey Hendrickson to a huge deal because his best years might be behind him at this point over the age of 30. Sure, I still think he's worth a contract because he did a lot for you guys, and good teams pay their players who do good things for them, like Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry both getting extensions this offseason, I'm pretty sure. Shamar Stewart's a rookie. You can't do this to your rookie. And I know he only had like 1 sack last year in college. I think it was like 3 overall in college. A lot of NFL players come in with that production. A lot do. And a lot of them step up to the next one. I'm pretty sure Trey Hendrickson did. I might be, that might be not a fact. That might be true. I don't remember if I heard that or not, but I'm pretty sure I heard that Trey Hendrickson came into the NFL with only a couple sacks in college and then exploded in the NFL. So you have a very similar player. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, this is just... and not to that, they released Pratt, one of their better linebackers. So now the defensive player they got the first round isn't at minicamp. Trey Hendrickson basically is coming back at this point, and they released Pratt. I mean, Burrow and Chase and T. Higgins need to get, 80 points a game? Who's their running back?
The problem last year. It's true. And so this is my first question. So, you draft this guy, and now you're trying to, protect yourself in your contract as an organization. Why'd you draft him?
Yeah. What were you like? What? I have no.
If you don't think he's worth the pick in the contract, you have to pay him at that pick. Trade back.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
There's great players in the second round that at least, projected to be great
players.
So
many.
You had so many great options. I don't know what you were thinking, being like, oh yeah, Shamar Stewart, this is our guy, but in case something bad happens, we don't want to give you anything. It's like, what?
And by the way, it's the first time in NFL history a team is trying to pull this kind of contract.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I'm fully with Shamar Stewart. And I mean, I don't know. Again, I think this is some of the first times we've seen this, at least in the modern NFL era. I don't know exactly what happens, but I had read a thing that he could go into next year's draft and get redrafted. What if the Bengals redraft him?
Do it.
The Bengals would redraft him too.
Oh, that'd be so funny. But the other piece of this you need to think about is what happened to the Bengals last year. The Bengals offense was firing on all cylinders, and their defense could never get going. And even though the offense was firing on all cylinders, Jamar Chase wasn't sure he was going to play because of his contract dispute until 30 minutes before week 1 against the Patriots. Yeah. And what did that do? The Patriots beat them when that should not have happened, and it caused them a playoff spot. And the loss of a playoff spot. The Bengals missed the playoffs. And by the way, this is a rational take. If the Bengals had made it into the playoffs, there is a very strong possibility they could have gone to the Super Bowl. They were on fire.
Towards the end of the
season. It was ridiculous what they were doing. But they couldn't. They lost too many games in the beginning because none of the players showed up at training camp, the contract disputes, all the distractions, and they're right back there again. And it is just this team literally. This is one of my new favorite things to say. 10 toes down, which means like I'm fully confident. I am not a fan of the Bengals. 10 toes down. I need Joe Burrow to leave. I need Jamar Chase to leave. I do not like their owner. I do not like the team. I do not like the way they treat their players at all. I think they are super cheap and scummy. 10 toes down, not a fan of the Bengals.
I like that. I've never heard that before. I like that too. No, I agree with you.
Do not like him.
I want to get Joe Burrow and
they got to get out of
Chase
there.
Out of there. I want to get T. Higgins out of there. I wanted T to come to the red and blue over here. Just come join the boys. But
I did too.
But it ended up not happening.
Joe Burrow has the opportunity to do some unprecedented stuff as a quarterback. He needs to step in and be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And quarterbacks, they get paid the most. They're the leaders. They also need to go to ownership and be like, we need this guy to win. And Joe Burrow did that for Chase and for Higgins. He was like, hey, this is getting kind of ridiculous. They drafted the rookie. Like, they chose this guy.
They liked him. They were like, we like this guy enough to pick him with our, I think it was 17th overall. And
we're going to pay him a first-round contract. Psych! That's the wrong number.
The thing I was... What a deep reference, but that was good. I remember what I was gonna say. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and all those great players on there need to get out of there because they're not going to win there. The Bengals don't want to win. The Bengals run that organization like a business. They run it, and it's probably very profitable for them. They probably run a great business. But business isn't going to win games for you.
And I wonder who makes more money at the end of the year as an owner, the Chiefs owner or the Bengals owner? Because I would argue it's the Chiefs owner.
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. I'm sure you could figure it out. They have to be
I will
somewhere.
do some research. I
Yeah.
work in finance. I will figure that out. Because here's the thing: it's winning makes you money,
Yeah.
and it's like but you need to spend money to win. It is a competitive league. You have 32 teams with guys. Literally, it's their livelihood. It's their job. Like our jobs. Like we wake up, we work at our jobs to get our paycheck. That's what these guys do.
Yeah. No,
I don't know. Joe Burrow's got to step in here and be like, all right, I get it. Trey Hendrickson getting a little older, maybe not the best move. I see what you're doing. You got T, you got Chase back, cool. Stewart, you picked him. Like, what are we doing here? Like, and it's just causing distractions and yeah, I don't know. Like I said, 10 toes down. I'm not a Bengals fan. Yeah. I don't like them.
Quick, this isn't really a full topic, but I just didn't know if you knew this or not. I thought I'd just say it real quick. Did you know first time ever the Jaguars made the Madden cover?
Yeah, getting jumped over. I did see that. Yes. Well, it wasn't the play against the Jaguars. I think it was.
It was. No, yeah, exactly. It was against the Jaguars, but they actually removed the logo on the Jaguars helmet just to be kind to the Madden cover. Yeah, they did. It's just a black helmet.
Oh, I saw Saquon made the cover. I think that's deserved because Josh Allen was the MVP. Saquon was like pretty close in the voting.
Yeah.
And Saquon definitely deserved MVP as well. He got the Eagles over the hump. We all remember the Eagles the year before. So, and not just play wise, leadership wise. Like Saquon, that's always been my favorite part of Saquon is the person. He's a leader. So I'm happy he got the Madden cover. And the video of like them making it and like the way they lifted him up.
I love how everybody was like, did he just do that? I was like, guys, he was paused in air for a minute. Like
Yeah. But either way, I'm happy for Saquon. I need the Eagles to have a really bad year this year, though. Let's get that Madden curse going on the Eagles. Give me a year off.
Yeah, no, me too.
So,
me too.
Speaking of birds, let's talk about the Falcons here. We got two more quarterbacks we're going to talk about. It's a lot of quarterback talk today. Kirk Cousins shows up to training camp.
Oh, I actually didn't see this. I missed this.
Showed up. It looks like he's going to bite the bullet and be the backup in Atlanta. Getting a nice $27 million contract as a backup quarterback, so good for him. I think Kirk Cousins, I don't know what the number is, but I think he's made the most money currently still in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like Kirk Cousins has made a killing off of fifth year options and then big contracts from new teams. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, good for Kirk, but wild.
But I guess the question is, what do you think happens with Kirk this year?
I mean, if somebody goes down, if Tyler's yeah, exactly. No one wants that to happen. But,
I say, I have to cut you off. This is what I say. Browns trade for him. Let's get this room spicy. Let's have Kirk Cousins, Joe Flacco, Gabriel, Deshaun Watson, and Sanders. Let's get 6 QBs in the room. Take them to training camp. No one gets any reps.
How many ACLs together does Joe Flacco and Kirk Cousins have? Is that like one together?
That's one full ACL. You can combine them. Keep going. I'm sorry, but I say the Browns trade for him.
Well, so, I mean, I do not think that's gonna happen. If like the Tyler Shuck on the Saints just ends up being horrible, Spencer Rattler's not working out. I think they have somebody else. Maybe
they got to get their first round. They got to get their first overall pick though.
Maybe Rodgers. That's true. They do need that. Maybe Rodgers goes down for the Steelers, and the Steelers start looking for somebody. What I don't know exactly, because I'm still figuring everything out, and learning, is do they have to take on Kirk Cousins' contract, or do the Falcons eat that?
So that's part of the trade. So what happens is the more. So if you think about it, hey, we'll trade you Kirk Cousins. We'll eat his whole contract, but then they get a higher pick in return because they're going to eat the contract, and like the other team just gets a free quarterback.
Right.
But for every dollar the other team takes, that hurts the pick that the Falcons will receive. So, for example, like a lot of times you'll get like a third round pick, and half the contract is eaten by both teams, and then that like smooths the cap a little bit. But I think the Falcons have the cap space for it, and Also, we're in an NFL where backup quarterback has become like secretly a super valuable position.
Oh yeah.
And if Kirk Cousins can, expel some knowledge to Penix, and be a valuable resource in the facility, why would you trade him?
Yeah,
I don't.
I agree completely. If Kirk's down to do that role and is like, hey, I'll be here for Michael and everything, then great. You might as well have him in that role because he has more starting experience than most backups can be can most veteran quarterbacks be a mentor for a young quarterback? You know, like Jacoby Brissett for Drake May, he only started a handful of games. We're talking about Kirk Cousins, the guy who signed multi-million-dollar contracts. Like that's what they want to do. So it's a great asset to have on the team. And if they can keep him, they should. I just can't imagine Kirk Cousins is all happy at that moment, you know? And I think Kirk Cousins is the type of guy to say what the media wants to hear and what the fans want to hear because he's not going to go create drama. He's not going to go be Aaron Rodgers and say all this nonsense or some podcast or anything like that. Kirk's a class act. I'm just curious if you will see a trade if someone does go down. I mean, maybe even on a contending team. Like, what if, like, a wild one, Joe Burrow gets hurt? You think that they're like, all right, well, we don't want to go with Jake Browning again. Like, let's see what we could do. Like, I think that's where Kirk could be very fun. I mean, also Vikings. You know, what if JJ's rough? But actually, I saw the Vikings signed Sam Howell, and that's actually low key a little sneaky because he's not bad. And Kevin O'Connell with a quarterback is fantastic.
He's gonna be good no matter what. Yeah.
But a quick question for you with the Falcons is the Kyle Pitts trade rumors.
Oh my God, to the Giants.
Really? Is that what you keep hearing?
I've seen. Well, no, you have Giants content creators just like posting random clickbait to get fans excited.
Yes, yeah, I see it with the Patriots too.
Kyle Pitts is a total bust. I want nothing to do with them. The Giants have enough tight ends. We even drafted another one. I think Daniel Bellinger on the Giants is super underrated. We also have the kid. I'm not gonna remember his name from Penn State, who we drafted last year. So no, we don't need him. But like, I mean, a team. I don't think the Bills should trade for him. The Bills have enough tight ends, but a team like the Chiefs could be scary. Like the Chiefs.
Yeah,
Chiefs could unlock.
Chiefs have some great tight ends as well. Like Watson is good. Kelsey's still decent. I mean, I'm trying to think of like the Rams. I feel like this year are a huge contender, and like I feel like they don't have a great tight end. So like the Rams doing that, getting with
isn't Higbee their tight end?
Maybe I
want to say it's Higbee.
It could be Higbee. I was about to say Niners, but they have Kittle. They should just keep Kittle. They signed Kittle this year anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
But Rams will be fun. Just because that I think he could work under Sean McVay. But yeah, I wouldn't want obviously not the Patriots. I actually like. I love our tight end that we have, Hunter Henry, and then Austin Hooper.
Awesome.
Austin Hooper's decent as well. So I don't think they're going to trade him. I bet you they're just going to let him
There's no value.
Yeah, at least finish his rookie contract and then maybe become a free agent and see where it goes.
What an absolute bust.
Yeah, what an absolute bust. What was without a doubt my favorite thing I heard, unless you had another topic you want to jump into.
We have one more, but if you want to put one more in here, maybe we're going to line up.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, one of the best free agent signings this whole offseason was J.K. Dobbins to the Broncos, in my opinion.
Oh, we're different. Yeah, J.K. Dobbins. Broncos are another team. Broncos look scary.
Yeah, and I criticized their first-round pick a lot because they went with a cornerback after having Patrick Surtain II win some award and be amazing. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, why are you taking a cornerback when you need running back? You had Javonte Williams last year, who was tied with Bo Nix for rushing touchdowns with 4. Obviously, they had no run game. There's a reason Bo Nix threw for 30 touchdowns. You know, he had to, which is awesome that he could in his rookie year. That's epic. But the fact that you add in J.K. Dobbins, who just had a great year with the Chargers, and if he stays healthy, I mean, that's a fantasy like early pickup, my opinion. Sean Payton loves to run the ball. I think he'll be Bo Nix's best friend. If J.K. Dobbins stays healthy, that's a great pickup.
Yeah, Broncos-Chargers games are going to be the most boring games ever. It's just going to be two teams with coaches that like love to run the ball. But like, so Dobbins to the Broncos is exciting. Evan Ingram to the Broncos is exciting.
Yeah,
Cortland Sutton had a good year last year. So they are an exciting team. The AFC West, every coach has been to a Super Bowl or won a Super Bowl.
Oh yeah,
Andy Reid.
Oh yeah,
Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, and then Harbaugh has been to a Super Bowl.
Right. That's crazy.
And won an NCAA championship.
Yeah, all with another team though.
All with another team.
Yeah, not
crazy?
Not the
except for the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs. Yeah, I was thinking more the Eagles with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
So
that's crazy.
pretty cool.
That,
So
I mean
no.
that division is difficult now, especially
Is it,
that the Raiders are going to be looking a lot better. That's rough.
that might be the best division in football. I think the three divisions I think of. Tell me if I'm. I think the AFC West, AFC North, and NFC North. I
Yeah,
think those three divisions.
The NFC North is so good and so competitive with one another that they're all going to have worse years than last year because they're all going to be trying to really kill each other.
Well,
Other
the
than
other
the
thing
Bears,
with
who are still
the
going to
other thing.
suck.
Well, that's the thing. That's where I was going to go with the NFC North. It's a bunch of teams that have to prove something. I think the Packers have to prove something. They underachieved last year. The Lions lost both coordinators. The Vikings have a new quarterback, and the Bears have a new coach. So each one of them, they're all trying to like prove something. But like the AFC West, the Chargers and the Broncos turned it around last year. Both teams went to the playoffs. Chiefs went to the Super Bowl, and the Raiders got exponentially better.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the one thing I can say, at least for the NFC North, is I think that Week 1 injury Jordan Love had affected him more that season than we give it credit
he rushed
for.
back.
Yeah,
he rushed back because he saw Malik Willis balling out. And he's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna lose my job, bro. They just paid you $100 million."
No, you're not losing it. You're good, man. You're good. But yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, no, I think right now the AFC West might be the best division. Just looking at it on paper right now, especially if Ashton Genty comes as advertised, that's pretty solid.
And the AFC North has the Browns and the Bengals fumbling around like a bunch of bumbling morons. So even though the Steelers and the Ravens hold things up, you just don't know. But my last topic. So I need to give a little backstory. So I met my now wife back in 2019. 2019 was the first year Daniel Jones was the quarterback for the Giants. So my wife became a Giants fan with me and truly became a Daniel Jones stan. She doesn't have a Twitter account, but the reason I say that is because there's nothing more legendary than two Giants fans fighting about Daniel Jones on Twitter. It is next level battles. So Daniel Jones gets released by the Giants, and my wife throws away all of her Giants clothes and is all done with the Giants. So she was a Vikings fan last year, and she's a Colts fan this year. And this one is for her, but Anthony Richardson has, again, a shoulder issue and will be missing training camp, or at least a chunk of it. Daniel Jones is the day one starter for the Indianapolis Colts, and Anthony Richardson might officially be a bust.
Well, I have heard a conflicting thing about how bad the injury is. I've heard he re-injured his shoulder, and I heard it was just sore and agitated from the surgery. So I don't know exactly where it all is. I need to keep doing some research. I heard some people say he will be back for minicamp and will be fine for minicamp. I've heard other people say he will miss it. If he does miss it, yes, Daniel Jones will be the starter. If he's there, again, like I've said, if Daniel Jones is the starter, I think Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard. Chris Ballard are basically done. I think so. They've barely been to the playoffs. They've done nothing with a great roster. The NFL stands for not for long. I could see them getting out the door here pretty quickly, genuinely. And obviously, if their fourth overall pick, who they put a lot of stock into, doesn't work, and they're rolling out Daniel Jones, that's not good. It's not a good look. I agree. I don't think this is the last thing they want to do is start Daniel Jones.
I'm just telling you, Daniel Jones will not give up the job once he gets it, and right now he has it. Here's the problem. Anthony Richardson, infinitely more talented than Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones is one of the hardest working people in the NFL. I don't care what anyone says. Does it amount to much as a Giants fan? Not really. I can be honest. Mostly interceptions in the end zone. Like, that's his favorite thing to do. I agree.
Both our Joneses never liked pressure.
But Anthony Richardson, from 5 to 8 yards, is a 44% completion percentage. That's worse.
It's rough.
That is insane. So, and Daniel Jones does everything right, and he's going to win that team over in training camp. Like, Daniel Jones is also a
What does that mean? Does that mean they just lose out on a draft pick early next year, and then they sign Daniel Jones? And then what does that get them? Right where the Giants were.
But you got to think, Matt, it's a weak division, and it's a pretty weak division.
It's a pretty weak division. I'm not going to say it's one of the best divisions, but you have the Texans who have won a playoff games in the last 2 years, and you have the Titans who right now seem to be on the up and up.
fair, I have a question for you because I think we're going to disagree on this one.
Yes.
But either way, Daniel Jones. Let's end this topic. Anthony Richardson's hurt. Daniel Jones getting all the reps. I think Daniel Jones will be the day one starter. What are you betting?
I need to see if Anthony Richardson's at minicamp, he will be the day one starter. Yes. He will be the day one starter.
I will do this. If Anthony Richardson's at minicamp, Daniel Jones will still be the day one starter.
Cool. I'm down to take that. I think no matter what, because I think at the end of the day, Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard's jobs are going to get on the line if DJ starts going and taking reps. And maybe he pops off. Maybe I'm wrong about all this and they look super smart, but I really doubt that, genuinely.
Daniel Jones did get a little Kevin O'Connell education.
It's true. That's true.
He might be a totally different man.
He did. He might show up with all that swagger.
Let's close it off by talking about the AFC South. Let's start doing this here.
Can I quickly because I want to close it with that too. But just as a Patriots fan, I just wanted to say really quickly, David Andrews retired. An absolute legend. An absolute legend. When we signed Garrett Bradbury, I was really upset, and then we released David Andrews. I was like, why are we doing that? Garrett Bradbury was released by the Vikings. You don't release good offensive linemen, so obviously he's not a great center. I don't know what we're doing with that. But then later on, he retired, gave a very emotional speech. David Andrews is a dog, and I'm going to miss him, and I know everyone on that team is going to miss him a lot. So I wanted to say something about that because he had won a lot of Super Bowls with us. He was getting older.
True leader. It's what you look for. Yeah, good for you for bringing it up.
But yes. Let's do a final topic. Which division are we talking about?
AFC South. Let's start there.
Ooh, I like it.
I know, because I think we're going to disagree. But who do you have taking first place? Who wins the division? Doesn't have to be record. Just who wins the division?
Who wins? Texans.
Texans look like they're geared up and ready to go.
But the Nick Chubb signing is pretty underrated just because his injury. Great third down back with Joe Mixon. I mean, you get a run game going with C.J. Stroud. That's pretty unstoppable.
Give Nico Collins some one-on-ones.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I'm saying?
Exactly.
The linebackers to pull up. I like it. Yeah, no, I think Texans win. C.J. Stroud needs to start throwing the ball, though. It'd be good if he started doing that because he's also throwing the ball right now.
Yeah, that offensive line got worse as well, and it was a problem last year. So they're gonna have to
Larry
figure some
Tunsil,
problems.
they let go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got some things they got to figure out. But yeah, they win. Now here's the question: who comes in second? I can tell you mine first. I have my list.
All right. I don't have a list yet because I didn't know we were doing this division, but you go.
Jacksonville Jaguars come in second place, and I know you're not going to agree with it.
So that's the team that popped into my head actually as well. But you were so against Travis Hunter, which makes it interesting that I think you're saying, like, do you think there's a big difference between the Texans and the Jags, or do you think they're both in the playoffs?
Oh, there's a big difference.
Big difference? Okay.
Yeah, Texans will, sweep that. I think the Texans are just a better team. Jags have a new coach, too, but we've seen the Jags be good in recent memory, good enough to come back and beat the Chargers in a playoff game. And also, that's not the impressive game. The impressive game was against the Chiefs in 2022. Mm-hmm. That game was impressive. That was an impressive game, and it's too bad they lost. But who's the wide receiver? Brian Robinson.
Brian Robinson. Sorry, that's on the Commanders. He's the running back for the Commanders. Brian Thomas Jr. wide receiver. Yeah.
Yes, Brian Thomas Jr. is legit, and I just don't watch enough Jaguars games to know why. But you start dipping your toes back into fantasy, and he's being taken in the second round and the third round, and you're like, who is this guy? And you watch his highlights, and you're like.
Yeah, and he had mainly Mac Jones throwing him the ball last season, and he looked that good. That dude's a stud. I remember I was hoping the Patriots were going to take him at some point, trade back up later in the first and grab him last year. I loved his tape. You know what? It's between the Titans and the Jaguars, and I'm going Jaguars just because I agree with you, and I think Travis Hunter, is just going to have an explosive rookie year. It's more or less, can he continue said success? I think he's going to come on no matter what as a decent wide receiver and help Trevor Lawrence out a ton. Tank Bigsby was starting to look good last year in terms of their running back. They still have Josh Hines Allen, who's a dog. So, I think that Jaguars team is good. If Liam Cohen's the guy, they could even be a bit more competitive against the Texans, although I don't think Liam Cohen's the guy just because I think Baker Mayfield's really good, and I think every time Baker Mayfield is a good season, the NFL is just like, oh, we got to hire that coordinator now.
Well, because no one thinks Baker's that good.
Yeah, no one. But Baker threw for like it was like 40-something touchdowns last season. It was an insane season, and they had a great offense. So if Liam Cohen can bring that offense to Trevor Lawrence and Travis Hunter, and it could be destructive. So I'm agreeing with you and actually going Jaguars.
Yeah, explosive is the right word. Explosive offense, explosive defense, explosive diarrhea. All three are in the cards for the Jaguars.
It's true. It could be any of the three. It doesn't matter.
I mean, the Jaguars, the thing I think about the Jaguars, like how many how many top 3 picks are on that team? It's like Trevor Lawrence, Brian Robinson's not there.
Well, that's actually one of my favorite questions to ask people is, do you remember who the first overall pick in 2022 was?
Yeah, Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, Trayvon Walker. Yeah, no one remembers that. Trayvon Walker's pretty decent. He's not great. He's not a first overall pick, but he's pretty decent.
He's no Aiden Hutchinson, who was taken next.
Yeah, no,
wild.
He's not. I'm sure Aiden Hutchinson went to the Jaguars and went, I'm not playing if you take me. I'm a Michigan guy.
Yeah, let me just go. Yeah, so, but either way, third place, I have the Colts.
Yeah, this is where I might go Titans. The Titans are such an interesting team because they had a decent run game last year. You know, Tony Pollard, and Tajay Spears, decent together. Both by themselves, not great ones. Together, they work as a tandem. You look at Calvin Ridley had 1,000 yards receiving last year with Will Levis, and I think someone else started at some point. The mayonnaise guy. Now,
don't hate on Levis. And the other guy was the Steelers' starting quarterback before Aaron Rodgers.
That's right. It was Rudolph. He was there. But I think if Cam Ward can come in, learn that playbook, and at least be a half-decent quarterback, which I loved Will Levis. Will Levis's highlights I still watch and laugh at to this day. I mean, some of the most entertaining football I have ever seen in my life. But if Cam Ward can go in there and just be a decent quarterback, that's a team that could start to be more competitive week in and week out, maybe have a couple of rough games here and there. Still a building team. The question for me, more or less, isn't Cam Ward, it's Brian Callahan. And if Brian Callahan can be a head coach, and if he was one of the big successes for Joe Burrow, for the Bengals, if he can bring that success to Cam Ward, again, this team might be better than the Jaguars if Liam Cohen ends up sucking for them. So both teams are I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm going to go Titans because I know you're going Colts. I'm just going to go different than you for one.
I'm just going to say the Colts have a lot to play for. I don't mean to bring up the passing of Jim Irsay up lightly, but that's a lot to play for, and you get some destiny on your side. But either way, it's going to be a great division. I'm excited. They're all 4 competitive teams. I'm excited for Tyler Warren. Yeah. I loved him as a prospect. So there's a lot. It's going to be exciting.
Colts are so talented. They're so talented. That's one of those teams that really irks me. They're so talented, and it's just like, why? How can you be so bad with such talent? Josh Downs, come to the Patriots. Michael Pittman Jr., please. Any of their wide receivers, I love. And there's like Jonathan Taylor, DeForest Buckner. I mean, like so many great players on that team. They could easily get second in this division, in my opinion. It's like
easily. Yes.
Texans is number 1, and then everyone else. Yeah. You gotta see where they fall. I'm just not sure.
We'll close it there.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. We'll have more Giants and Patriots news coming up in the future, but there was a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, no, definitely.
We'll see y'all next one.